Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to walk into a pharmacy to get a prescription filled without feeling a sense of panic about how much it's going to cost? Or to look ahead to the upcoming month with a sense of excitement because of all the holidays on the calendar? I've been living here in France for almost 18 years, and there are still some things about life here that I kind of can't believe are real. Today, I'm sharing 4 things about life here in France that are kind of difficult for this American brain to process. 4 things that I think are, in fact, representative of the underlying values of society here in France. And these 4 things prove that a healthy lifestyle is integrated into everyday life here, and that personal time isn't just a perk, it's prioritized, respected, and treated as essential. First, as you've probably heard, the healthcare system here is pretty great, but there are a few things that really stand out to me. The first is the sort of unbelievable concept of the cure thermale. In France, une cure thermale is a 3-week medical protocol prescribed by your doctor to treat chronic conditions. And these treatments take place in government-approved treatment centers in towns with very recognizable names, places like Evian, Vichy, La Roche-Posay. And the specific mineral composition of the water in each of these places is said to be best to treat certain specific ailments. So, for example, une station thermale near us in Fontenay is said to be able to treat rheumatology and digestive and metabolic conditions. But these places are also open to the public, and you can just go and spend an afternoon there if you want as well, which my husband and I love doing without a medical prescription, just to relax. So what to expect if your doctor prescribes you one of these treatments? Well, you'll probably have underwater massages, mud baths, access to steam rooms. You'll be prescribed different amounts of drinking the mineral water, physiotherapy in the thermal pools, for example. And those treatments are overseen by the staff and by even medical professionals that they have as well in these centers. And while you may have some costs associated out of pocket with the treatment, the Sécurité Sociale does cover a large portion of the treatment, as well as some of the costs associated with travel and accommodation. And some of those costs may also be covered by your mutuelle, but a lot of times people who are prescribed cure do have some out-of-pocket expenses associated with their treatment. I just hope that one day, if my doctor ever thinks that I need to access this type of cure for any type of chronic condition that I may develop, that I will be able to make it happen, because it sounds like it can be really beneficial for certain people with certain conditions. Second, in much more common everyday scenarios, it's our extremely easy access to prescription pharmaceuticals. For example, this week I took my 11-year-old son to the doctor, and the doctor took time to chat with us and talk to us. We went because he was having some seasonal allergy symptoms. So the doctor wrote a prescription for some seasonal allergy medications. We took the prescription over to the pharmacy, and the pharmacist filled the prescriptions, and at the end they said, "C'est tout, bonne journée, that's all, have a good day." And this is the part that is sort of difficult for me to wrap my mind around, because we didn't have to pay anything, zero, nothing out of pocket for the prescribed drugs. Now, a few weeks earlier, we had gone to the pharmacy and bought a few things over the counter, which we did have to pay for. But even when you buy sort of over-the-counter drugs, they're still very affordable here in France. But yeah, it's just hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that when you have a prescription, most prescription drugs, when you take them to the pharmacy to get the prescription filled, you don't have to pay anything out of pocket here in France. Thinking back to the cure thermale, I think these both go to show that having access to decent healthcare is really considered a right here in France, whether it's preventative medicine, treatment for chronic conditions, or access to prescription drugs. It's just a basic right here in France to have access to these things. So the next thing that seems sort of unbelievable to me is just how easy it is to live here in this small city where we live, Dijon, without a car. And so thinking back to my 11-year-old, for example, he is extremely independent. So in order to get to school in the morning, he takes the bus and the tram, so public transportation. To get to his music lessons, he can just walk. To get to his sports activities, he can just walk or take the tram. If he wants to meet friends for lunch on the weekend, he can just walk downtown. If he needs to buy a birthday present for a birthday birthday party, I just send him to the shopping center and he can do everything on his own. And the same goes for me. I don't need to have a car as well. I do have a car, which I occasionally, very rarely need to use, but most of the time I'm on my bike, I'm using public transportation, or I'm walking as well. So I believe that making it possible for people to live without cars is another way to sort of promote healthy living, because we're out walking around, we're on our bikes, and we're not sitting behind the wheel of a car, we're not sedentary, we're not stuck in traffic, for example. And speaking of which, I also feel like the fact that I can let my 11-year-old get around town on his own gives me valuable time back as a parent. Except for when my kids did baseball, which was outside of the city and we had to drive them there and back. That was the only time in my parenting career where I've really had to chauffeur my kids around. Otherwise, my kids have always been able to get around town on their own. I mean, sometimes I walk my son to music class just for fun, to keep him company, but he's absolutely able to get there on his own and without me having to drive him. So it means that I get my time back. I can use my time for work or leisure activities or relaxing or whatever. And also I think that for kids, it develops a sort of sense of autonomy as well. So sometimes my son will come home and be like, oh, I was waiting forever for the bus. And he just kind of has to make the call on his own. Like, is he going to continue to wait and risk being late for school? Or is he just going to start walking? And I think that allowing him to be out in the world making these decisions, because the city is very safe and I believe that nothing, no harm will come to him, I think that it allows him to sort of grow up and learn a sense of maturity and independence from a very young age, which I also really value and appreciate for him, for my kids. And I also value the fact that I can get that time back for myself and I'm not stuck in traffic or chauffeuring my kids around as well. Okay, speaking of a sacred time, now let's look ahead to the month of May. May 2026. It's amazing this year. May, oftentimes we have several long weekends over the course of the month of May, but this year is just exceptional. So May 1st, which falls on a Friday this year, is a holiday. So we have a long weekend, the first weekend of May. May 8th is also a holiday. It also happens to fall on a Friday this year, another long weekend. The following week, we have a holiday on Thursday, the 14th. So because the holiday falls on a Thursday, that means many, many people will also be taking the Friday off, doing what they call le pont, the bridge. So many people will have a 4-day weekend that weekend. And because a Pentecost falls here in May as well, sometimes it's in June, it falls on the first Monday of the month of May, the last Monday of the month of May, we will also have a long weekend the last week of May as well. So we have 4 long weekends coming up. Now, again, next year it will be a bit different because these 2 holidays will fall on Saturday, unfortunately. The fact that we have 4 long weekends coming up in the month of May, I think is also very telling about French society. And no one is going to feel guilty about having this much time off in the month of May. Most people are really excited and planning how they're going to take advantage of all of this time off. Us, for example, we're going to be doing a city visit one of the weekends, but I think the other 3 weekends we'll probably just stay close to home. We'll probably tinker around the house, go for bike rides, socialize, hang out with friends and family, and just make the most of the month of May. Usually the weather is really good and we'll enjoy our time off and, and it's going to be great. And I'm so excited. For me, the month of May and the lack of guilt anyone feels for not working during these long weekends, again, it just goes to show how much people value their own personal time. People work hard when they're at work. It's not to say that people do not work hard, but when people are off the clock, they are happy to take advantage of that time to spend with friends and family and just engaged in their own sort of personal pursuits, and it's great. And finally, the last aspect of French society, which still seems a bit unbelievable to me, but will come as no surprise to you, I'm sure, is the quality of the food that we have access to here. So I popped over to our local bakery and I picked up these croissants. These are the best pain au chocolat in Dijon. I know based on some scientific research that I've done into this topic. And this is just the local bakery that's just down the street. And they're pure butter, freshly baked. They smell delicious. And they were €1.50 each. So for me, this just goes to prove that we have access to delicious, affordable food here in France. And it's not just baked goods and pastries. We don't eat pastries every day, of course, but it's just that we have access to affordable, nutritious, often organic food here in France as well. Now, this is a luxury for sure. So even something just as basic as school lunches, for example, I think also proves this point that access to good food is important for everybody, even kids. So I found this article online, and it's amazing. It's kind of like a journalistic report about my son's middle school cafeteria. And it contains all of these beautiful pictures and all of these examples of the food the ingredients that they're trying to use. They're trying to incorporate more organic and local products. They give the kids a chance to taste different types of cheeses. Look at this cheese selection that the kids have access to. The kids, they go through the line and they select what they want, and their food is served on real plates with real utensils. And then, they have a fair amount of time to sit down and eat with their friends. Granted, my kids would say that they're still rushed when they have to eat because this cafeteria serves over 600 kids a day. And so, yeah, they do, it is kind of à la chaîne. They do try to get the kids in and out relatively quickly. But nonetheless, when you look at the types of ingredients and you see the amount of energy and thought that's put into these school lunches, it's really incredible. And in terms of how much we pay, up until this year, the middle school lunches were heavily subsidized by the département, by La Côte d'Or, and we only paid €2 for these lunches. Now the price has gone up a little bit, I think, to compensate with the actual cost of how much these lunches are to produce, and now I think we pay €3.30. Up until middle school, however, the school lunches for the primary schools and the preschools are run, organized, served by the city. And so for the preschool and primary school lunches, we paid on a sliding scale, so depending on our family revenue. So again, I think this just goes to show that even for kids from a very young age, starting at age 3 when they start in preschool, they're served healthy, balanced lunches made with organic and local ingredients in part, not just, but they are trying to increase the amount of local and organic ingredients that they serve to the kids as well. It gives the kids a chance, for example, to learn table manners. It gives the kids a chance to socialize and expose them to different types of ingredients and different types of food. In the past, I've worked in middle schools and high schools as well. And when I did, I was also able to eat at the school. I was able to have the school lunch like the kids. And I can attest to the fact that it was very good. And this was even a long time ago. I think they've even improved the quality of the school lunches since then. I think the focus on making access to affordable, nutritious, delicious, local, organic food, even for kids, shows that this really is one of the priorities here in France. And yeah, kids have access to junk food too, and they love that as well. But again, so much time and thought is devoted to eating well and considering the ingredients that we eat and spending time together and eating. And it's just part of the lifestyle here. In France, eating well is sort of the baseline for everyone, which is kind of incredible. So there you have it, 4 things, all of which I consider to be really positive. And I really wanted to share these with you because lately, as I've been walking around downtown Dijon, personally, I've been feeling a sort of a sense of optimism and gratitude. There's something in the air. It's springtime, so trees are blossoming and flowers are blooming and people are excited. People are out and about, meeting up with friends, and we've had a string of really nice weather lately. And after a long and dreary gray winter, as we're known to have here in Dijon, but there's just kind of something in the air. And personally, I'm feeling really grateful for the community that I have here, the people that I know, and the lifestyle that I'm able to lead here, because I know that there's just crazy, terrifying things going on in the world right now. And so I recognize just how lucky I am. And I know that many of you are considering a move to France, maybe in part because of some of the reasons that I just mentioned. And if you are in the stages of planning and you feel like you have a million questions, I do offer one-on-one consultation calls, which I'll link to in the video description below. And if you're interested in learning more about Dijon, my lovely hometown, I actually offer tours of the city as well. So you can book a time with me and I can show you around the city and tell you all of the ins and the outs of the different neighborhoods and everything if you're interested in learning more. And in fact, you can even come and stay here. We have a short-term rental that's just right behind our house. And if you want to learn more about that, I will link to that in the video description below as well. And finally, the last thing is that I also have an email newsletter, and you can scan the QR code here or check it out in the link in the video description below, in which I share more practical information about life in France. Granted, I have been very negligent with the newsletter lately. I've just been so busy with work, but as the spring and summer months approach, I should have more time. So I'm hoping to be more consistent with the newsletter. You would think with the month of May approaching that I would be able to get the newsletter up and running, and I will try, I promise. But I'm also thinking, but I also need some time to relax and socialize and hang out with my friends and family as well. But I'll have time to do both, I hope. In any case, thank you so much for watching today. And until the next time, à bientôt.